Hi folks, and welcome back to another RV Chats with Shawn, Corinne, Craig, and Shelley.
Yes, we've been doing these RV side chats, talking about all different things photography. And what was the topic this week, Shawn?
So this week is the choice of using filters or not using filters. And interestingly enough, Craig and Shelley don't tend to use much in the way of filters, and Corinne and I are pretty much obligate filter users. So it should be an interesting discussion, and we hope you enjoy it.
Yes, and remember that we've been alternating RV side chats with Craig and Shelley Neeson of Craig Neeson Photography, and you can see more episodes on our channel and on their channel. So hopefully you'll enjoy this discussion.
So sit back, get ready, and enjoy the video.
Okay, so Shawn and Corinne, I noticed you guys use a lot more filters than I do. So what factors help you to determine which filters to use and when to use them?
Well, it has a lot to do with trying to balance off the light in the sky against the darkness in the landscape. Well, first of all, we learned to shoot with filters early on not as early on, but I used them 40 years ago, and then I reintroduced them to them when we got really serious about digital photography. And the instructor that we had, a guy named Randall Hodges, was just very good at explaining how to use them, when to use them, why to use them. And we just became very adept at it. I mean, we practiced that a lot. And then the second reason is I am incredibly lazy. I do not want to sit behind a computer and blend multiple photographs in order to, balance out the light in the sky and the light in the landscape. And I'm just not interested in doing that. I'd rather go shooting, and filters make that difference. It makes it so that you can, literally take the shot that comes out of the camera is, with minor editing, the shot we're going to use most likely. And so that's a lot of the reason. The misnomer with filters, a lot of people don't like shooting with filters because it doesn't give them the photograph that they expect. And that has a lot to do with using poor quality filters that have color casts and things of that sort. I always, I've been heard saying multiple times that if somebody's going to steal camera equipment from me, I'd rather them steal my camera than my filters. My filters, it's taking a long time to put together I think I probably have 10 or 12 filters in that bag of all different types and quality, and I just hate to have to reconfigure that bag. Even replacing them from time to time is painful. And I'm speaking from the point of view of just doing it, but also financially. Top quality filters, despite what everybody tells you, they are not cheap.
No.
They are very expensive. So what about you, Corinne? How do you come at the filters?
So, of course, I look at what time of day it is. If it's midday, afternoon, morning, then I'm using my circular polarizer and making that work to enhance the sky and give definition to the clouds. If I'm going with a waterfall, then I may be using a solid 2-stop to 10-stop filter, depending on the speed of the waterfall and reflections and things like that, so that I can get the nice flow of water and velvety look that I want. And if I'm doing the sunset or sunrise, then I'm using the graduated filters. And generally I do that based on how different it is between the foreground or the structures I'm photographing versus the sky and how late in the evening it is. So usually I'll start with a 2-stop graduated and then see how that's helping my picture, and if I find that that's not enough, then I'll add maybe a 1-stop and feather them so that they don't give such a solid line across.
Yeah, I think a lot of the problem with folks in filters is that if you don't get some really good training on how to blend the filters and how to deal with some of the negative sides of using filters, like placement and that sort of thing, then it can be a very, very frustrating experience. You know, if you've got, for example, my 6 main filters are 3 split neutral density filters that are 1, 2, and 3 stop. And then my other 3 that I use a lot are a soft neutral density filter that's a 1, 2, and 3. Actually, it's a 2, 3, and a 4 stop. And I spend a lot of the time when I'm setting up these photographs, sort of blending the filter to balance out that light, because really the issue especially some of us that I shoot a Canon 5D4, and it only has so many stops of light detection in the sensor. So the filter really expands the ability of the camera without taking multiple exposures. I have nothing against people that want to take multiple exposures and ignore the filters. I'm just not interested. Not my thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know there are some people that it's a religious thing, like Canon, Nikon, Sony.
Yes.
For some people, and gear shouldn't matter in that aspect. It should be how you get to the photo.
Right.
Works the best for you. Right. Yeah. So if filters work better for you than sitting at a computer and blending, or hoping that your sensor on your camera has enough dynamic range on its own,
right,
to do a grad filter in Lightroom, then that's how your workflow works.
Yeah.
And I think that we've got some photographers out there that think that it has to be this way,
right,
and the rest you be damned if you don't do it my way, right? And that's not the point. The point is to enjoy your photography, be creative, and don't let anybody tell you that there's a right way and a wrong.
I totally agree with that. I mean, I entirely agree with that. And I think also one of the misunderstandings with filters is people get a filter, and it just doesn't do what they want it to do, and assume that all filters are bad. To be blunt, just to get halfway decent using the filters has taken us probably 5 to 7 years of shooting a lot. And Corinne and I shoot just about every week, and there are weeks like the last 10 days we shoot every day. And you become very adept at how to see the scene and how to implement the filters. So in terms of learning how to use your filters, a couple of years ago I decided to switch out my polarizer for a specific warming polarizer, and it actually has a little less polarizing in it, but makes the photograph a little richer. Using that polarizer in a forest scene or a waterfall scene really gives you a lot of control about how much glare you want in the waterfall, how much you want to bring up the leaves or the greenery that's around the waterfall. If you go in there with essentially a pretty general UV filter, you kind of get it kind of is an on-off situation. It's where this warming filter, I can dial it in, and it takes some practice, and you have to have sort of a clear vision of what you want, and then go out and actually try to execute, and it's practice. Yeah. And the first few times I went and shot with that filter, it was awful. I couldn't get it to do what I wanted to do. But over time, you get better at it, and now I would hate to go shoot a waterfall without it. I mean, it's the filter on it.
Well, we sure hope you enjoyed that video.
If you did, please give us a thumbs up.
And as always, you can always help both Craig and Shelley and Shawn and Corinne, Craig Neeson Photography and the Travels of Red Rover, by subscribing.
Yes, we appreciate everyone who subscribed. Thanks so much, and I hope you'll share the video with your friends who also enjoy photography.
And next week we'll be back on Craig's channel, Craig Neeson Photography, for the next episode.
Hope you'll join us then. Bye for now.
Bye for now.